Welcome back. In this video, we are going to discuss in depth social media and marketing and the things that you need to be aware of. So first of all, I am sure that if you found this course, most of you have a working idea of how social media works, but I don't want to make any assumptions. There are lots of different types of social media platforms: Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. These are spaces that people actually use to market their businesses. Originally, they were really just what they were called, like social media spaces for people to be able to connect, but people quickly realized that if troves of people were going to be, in these social media spaces, that it was a great opportunity to sell your products or your services. So it actually became quite a business hub. And so that's what we are going to discuss today. First, I want to talk generally about truth in advertising. So if you didn't know, there are complete entities set up in the United States to actually make sure your advertisements are telling the truth. And if you don't tell the truth in your advertisements, you can get in a lot of trouble. This is specifically true if you are working in, a food or drug or with any type of ingestible that people are taking into their bodies. They are very strict about what you can and can't say. If your product has not been clinically proven to cure cancer, don't claim that it has. If it has not been clinically proven to reduce stress, don't claim that it has. There are lots of different ways to market your products or services without making statements, especially medical statements, that are not true. There is a brand called Teamy Tea, which got in trouble with the FTC, Federal Trade Commission. The FTC, they got in trouble because they were actually marketing their products and their teas and saying that they medically could do all of these things that it was not proven that they could do. And they were sued for millions of dollars because of it. And you don't want to ever get yourself into a position where you are being sued because you are not telling the truth about your products, and your customers are relying on your assertions and your marketing to make sure that they're buying the product for good and valuable causes, and that you're not creating unrealistic expectations for either as well, for other people. So you definitely want to make sure that you are telling the truth in all of your marketing. And this is something that I cannot stress enough, having worked in the marketing space for a while. A lot of people don't pay attention to these types of things and end up getting in a lot of trouble later. So I always suggest that people, talk about, the actual touch and feel of the product or the service. What does it feel like? How do people respond? What are customers saying about it? All of those things are fair game without having to worry about making like specific medical claims or saying something that's not true. You also want to pay attention if you are in the cannabis space. The cannabis industry is moving very quickly and it's changing very quickly, and the laws in every state are changing very quickly. So you definitely want to be careful there as well about what you can and cannot say in your marketing. So definitely always something to consider. Outside of those traditional concerns, I really want to talk about influencer marketing, which has kind of, made a splash over the last couple of years. It's so funny that, when I started working in influencer marketing about 5 years ago, it was still relatively new. And even having worked in the space for 5 years, so many people hold me out as being an expert in influencer marketing, and it's really easy to be an expert in something that hasn't been around that long, especially because a lot of people just don't have an understanding. So what is influencer marketing? It's using influencers or people of influence, celebrities, people with a large following online to actually sell your products, okay? So, if you see, like going back to Teamy Tea, I know the Kardashians were some of the influencers, and lots of other influencers that they used to actually sell a lot of these Teamy Tea products online. And you might see them talking about how great the tea is and what it does for their body or whatever. And again, Teamy Tea got in trouble because they were making lots of claims that apparently were not true. But those influencers are influencers who are selling the product. They comprise influencer marketing. It is a great way to get your product in front of lots of different people. So if you're at this stage, I'm assuming you've already written your business plan. So you know who your target audience is, you know who you're trying to sell to, and hopefully if you did the exercise of, writing down your person and what they do for fun, hopefully you know the types of TV shows they're watching, the types of, influencers that they may be following online. And when you know these types of things about them, it makes narrowing down your list of influencers very easy when you're deciding who you want to ask to market your products. So with influencer marketing, the biggest thing, and what Team ET got in trouble for with the FTC and what the FTC, the Federal Trade Commission, has been really specific about, is that influencers absolutely have to disclose that they are marketing your product. They can do that in many different ways. The FTC has given lots of examples of acceptable ways for influencers to let the world know that they are marketing a product. Marking their ad, hashtag ad is really helpful, or coming up with an ad specific to your company. For example, I used to work at FabFitFun, and we used the hashtag FabFitFunPartner, which was really helpful. That if you can use like brand, insert the name of the company, partner, anything that can really delineate and let the customers know that they are actually purchasing a product that the influencer is being paid or has been given something of value to post. That means even if you reach out to a few social media influencers and you don't pay them any money, you just give them free product, you have still given them something of value to post about, and they should be encouraged to use the word, hashtag ad or whatever your hashtag is, or even say, this product was gifted to me by X, Y, and Z company. Why is this important? Because commercials and regular content are starting to look so much alike. We don't want people to think that, influencers are using a product because they just genuinely love it, when the truth is they've been paid to market it. At the end of the day, hopefully they're marketing things that they actually genuinely love, but that is not for you to decide. The customer needs to know if the influencer is being paid to say the things, or they're receiving something of value to say the things that they're saying. So if you are going to use influencers, I highly, highly, highly suggest you tell them to use, some type of hashtag that you've created, or hashtag ad, to be specific in, stating that they were given this product, or that they are a brand partner, or, stating specifically in the caption that, they are working with you in some capacity, and to be as honest and authentic about that as possible. Again, influencers, you can't script exactly what they're going to say if they don't believe something about the product, because the FTC also requires that influencers tell the truth about the product. So if they have nothing positive to say, they can at least hold it up and be like, look at it, do you guys like this? You can't tell them to say a whole bunch of things if they don't think it's true. It's okay to provide them with suggested talking points, like, could you talk about this, or could you talk about that? Some people actually they sign contracts with influencers and ask the influencers, to send over the content in advance. And if they don't like the content, then, you might ask the influencer to potentially, if you have it in your contract, to, ask for the ability for, the opportunity for you to say, hey, can you make a change here, or some slight deviation from what you've done already. If you do have a contract, they're probably going to want to push back and say, you're not going to be able to ask me to make changes more than 2 times or so, 1 or 2 times. That's completely normal. Is it necessary to have a contract with influencers? No. If you're not using very many, a simple email in writing with the expectations will probably suffice. But if this is going to be a staple of your business, especially if you're worried about the FTC potentially coming after you for any reason at all, it's so nice to have just everything delineated and outlined in a contract. You can hire an attorney to draft something for you. You can also, again, get online and Google, influencer agreements, talent agreements, to find some type of template online. There are templates for everything online. It's, again, the more that you can think about before you start working with influencers, the better. So things for you to consider, in addition to, letting them know maybe what suggested talking points are, or what your hashtag is. You want to talk about when the post has to be posted. When does the post need to go up? You definitely want to discuss the look and feel. So it might be helpful to give them examples of, posts or what you're looking for, to send over your brand palette or whatever, something so they know the look and the feel of the content. If you are going to have a contract, it might be really helpful, especially in today's time as well, to put in some type of morals clause. What is a morals clause? Basically something that says, if you say something that is, offensive to the general public, or do something of like moral turpitude, I cannot move forward with this contract. We're going to need to be able to squash it. I'm going to ask you to delete the post, whatever the case may be. Obviously, with the current state of the world and politics, anything is liable to come out of anyone's mouth. So it can be really, really helpful for you to have something in your contract that allows you to terminate just in case something is said or done that's morally offensive. It can also be really helpful for you to talk about the length of the post. Is it a video? Is it a static post, or what we call a picture? Do you want them to which platforms are they posting on? Is it going to be a story? If it's going to be on their page, how long does it have to stay up? Can they put it up and delete it the next day? So these are all things that you're definitely going to want to consider before reaching out to somebody, so that you have all of this in writing. Maybe in a contract if you want to hire someone, or look for a template, but hopefully you have it all at least outlined in an email. It can actually be really easy to find influencers. If you, start to create a wish list of people that you'd like to work with, you can get online and potentially, if there's a really cool button on the Instagram app. So if you go to Instagram and type somebody's name in, and then you go to their page, and then you look down at the information underneath their page, there's actually a space with a little arrow that points down, and you can click that arrow and it'll show you influencers who are similar to the influencer's page you're on, which is really helpful to find, like lookalike influencers, which is like really awesome, so that you don't have to do the work of like creating a list just off of the people that you've heard of. You can go to other people's pages from that first page and be like, oh, this would be a cool person. A lot of times you can reach out to them. They'll have their emails either in their links in their bios, or a website will be linked in their bio and you can contact them through the website. Or sometimes they have a business page where you can just hit email and they'll take it straight to your email. And worst comes to worst, shoot your shot in the DMs. I've seen lots of people get influencer deals in DMs. If your brand is hoping to repost content, like user-generated content, that means, a girl posts something, maybe using your product, or maybe you just liked her post. If you want to potentially post that on your page, reach out to the person on the platform, on Instagram or Twitter or whatever, and say, hey, I love this content. Is it okay if I repost it? Or is it okay if I share it and tag you? And you want to get a yes from that person. If the person says yes, great. Mark it down somewhere, screenshot it so you have it there just in case someone asks later whether or not you have permission. But that is a perfectly acceptable way to ask for reposting, user-generated content, which is actually a great way to build up your page. If you have a following, people are excited because then their content gets in front of your audience as well, which is really exciting for people. And if not, it's a great way to build your following. People get a lot of times really excited and honored when people are like, oh my gosh, they want to post my content. So yeah, ask people if you can repost content, and that's a great way to get some free content for your particular page. There are also lots of things that you can do marketing wise on, the Facebook and Instagram platforms. Facebook owns Instagram, for those of you that are unaware. They have a lot of really cool specific targeting ads. And again, there's so much free material out online about Facebook targeting and how to create Facebook and Instagram ads that are successful. It's, again, not necessary for you to do all of that if you feel like you're building your business organically, but it is a great option. Facebook, reaches everybody. It's just a great option for you to be able to market your products and services. So if that's something you're interested in, I highly suggest that you watch, some of these awesome free YouTube videos about Facebook and Instagram marketing, like the specifics of putting together a marketing plan for that social media. And yeah, so I also want to make sure that from a legal perspective, if you are using social media to potentially, let's say, create an email listserv and you're collecting people's emails, you have to be very careful about keeping the customer information secure. If you're going to want to sell that data or do something with it, you have to be very explicit in your terms and conditions of letting people know that that's going to take place. Again, we don't have a lot of rules compared to other places, compared to other countries about what we can do with people's data, but we do have rules, and you want to make sure that you're keeping that in a secure, safe space as well. So I know a lot of people have watched all these documentaries about collecting data and selling people's data. Be very careful with that. If you are collecting data, make sure, and when I say data, I mean people's names, phone numbers, email address, potentially credit card information, whatever data you're collecting, you have to be very forthcoming about what data you are going to share with other companies, and make sure you have permission from people to do that. Otherwise, you can potentially get in a lot of trouble. So yeah, if you're collecting data from all of this marketing, make sure that you are taking the steps necessary to get permission to do anything with that data. In this next piece of our hopefully you have a little bit of a better understanding of the way influencer marketing works and some of the things that you should be considering from a business perspective when you are putting your marketing plan together. I am actually going to include links to several Instagram and Facebook marketing tools that I think are going to be really helpful if you want to actually create paid ad campaigns. If that's something that you are passionate about, again, that is a completely different topic, but also something worth learning. So I highly recommend the sites that I'm putting in the link below, and I will see you in the next video.